Welcome to A&AT News, where we highlight the latest and greatest in accessibility and assistive technology news. I'm your host, Carrie Morales from Carrie on Accessibility, and today is June 16th, 2023, and boy do we have a lot to cover, including accessibility announcements from Apple, Google, Microsoft, and so much more. There will be video chapters below as well as links in the description if you want to deep dive into any of these topics. This video has been brought to you by all the Carrie on Accessibility patrons. A big huge thank you to Access Today for becoming a COA Ally supporter. Thank you to everybody for supporting this channel. If you also want to support Carrie on Accessibility, one way to do that is through the Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/carrieonaccessibility. If you'd like to sponsor this segment, you can email me at email@carrieonaccessibility.com. Without further ado, let's dive into all the announcements. First up is Apple, and they announced quite a few different updates and new features, including live speech, which allows users to type what they want to say and have it spoken aloud. This will also work on both Facebook calls and for in-person conversations, and you'll also be able to save different phrases. This works hand in hand with personal voice, where you can create your own TTS engine based on your voice with just about 15 minutes of recording. Apple also showcased Assistive Access, which will help people with cognitive disabilities, quote, distilling, quote, apps into its essential functionalities, and this will work with a combined phone and FaceTime app, messaging experience, photos app, and music. And you can have a tiled or a list view that has large icons and large print. Another new feature from Apple is Point and Speak, which is integrated into Magnifier, and it will allow users to point and have it read what's under your finger. For example, on a microwave or maybe a washing machine, you can point to different buttons and it should read out the labels for you, which I think is super useful, and I'm excited to see how this pans out. There will also be improvements to voice control typing. Low vision users will be able to more easily adjust text size on some Mac apps. Switch control users will have a better gaming experience. Deaf or hard of hearing users can pair made for iPhone hearing devices directly to Mac, and voiceover users will have better Siri voices that can go faster, up to 2x speed. Now let's move on to Google's accessibility announcements. First, there's going to be a new image question and answer mode on Lookout. You can take a picture and have a Lookout describe it, and then ask specific questions about that picture. This is currently still in beta. Google Maps is slowly rolling out a feature which will indicate whether a place is wheelchair accessible. Live Captions is also getting an update to optimize it for Android tablets. A new functionality is a call feature, allowing a user to type back responses during calls and have the response read aloud to the other caller. Live Caption is also getting support for French, Italian, and German, and Live Caption will also be coming to more phones. Google also stated that Wear OS 4 will have a new text-to-speech experience that is faster and more reliable. This is definitely something that Wear OS really needs. There's also accessibility improvements on the Chrome browser. There's a new screen zoom option that can go from 50% all the way to 300% on both Android Chrome beta as well as Chrome on desktop. You can also type a website into the Chrome address bar and it will now detect URL typos and suggest websites based on the corrections. There's also a new reading mode feature coming to Chrome. Google is coming out with two new assistant voices, one called Lime and the other called Indigo, and this is for US English users. Next up is Microsoft and their announcements. Windows Copilot will essentially replace Cortana and help users with changing settings on their PC, summarizing documents, text, and web pages, and it'll help with other Windows features. Users will be able to access Copilot on the taskbar, and it will open a window chat box where you can interact with the AI. For Microsoft Office 365 and larger pull-down menus, keyboard navigation and keyboard shortcuts will be improved, plus screen reader labels have also been improved. There's also a new accessibility assistant that Microsoft is rolling out. Right now it's available on Word for some users, use. It will give real-time alerts to users when it notices accessibility issues, including color contrast. And hopefully Microsoft continues to improve the accessibility assistant to help with more accessibility challenges. Samsung also announced some accessibility improvements for their Galaxy Buds. There are 2 new levels of ambient sound for better amplification and better customization. Galaxy 2 Bud Pro users can also fine-tune their ambient sound settings. Users will be able to adjust the volumes on the left and the right respectively. WayAround's accessible labels are now part of the BlindShell Classic 2 platform, and it's available on the BlindShell app catalog. Aira, which is a visual interpretation service, now has a screen share feature. This will be available on both iOS and Android. Mastercard has recently been working with Citizen Financial Group on their new private client credit cards, and these new credit cards will have tactile cutouts and will be provided to all new private client credit card holders. I think it's fantastic that they're rolling this out to everybody instead of making blind and low vision users request it. Figma, which is a design tool and a lot of companies use it for prototyping, has come out with some new screen reader functionality. There's also a new haptic system that guides people with vision loss. A French research institute has been working on a device called Dornell that hooks onto a wheelchair or a cane, and this device sends out tiny vibrations to the hand to indicate direction or to detect obstacles. Reddit will exempt accessibility-focused apps from its unpopular API price changes. None of the apps currently on this exemption list allow for moderation, which means that moderating r/blind and other subreddits in general will be next to impossible for screen reader users. Also, Bar 2.0 is in beta, and it'll be interesting to see what new updates the National Library for the Blind has to offer. And that is it for today's A&AT News Roundup. If you have any news or announcements that you'd like to share for the next episode, please send an email to email@carrieonaccessibility.com. Also, if you'd like to sponsor this segment in any way, please also send us an email. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will catch you in the next episode.